Good morrow, lovely little ghosts, and welcome to the Dark Orchard for Laura Watson's 13 Days of Vlogoween.
As I said in my intro, this is a Vlogoween video. More specifically, we're going to dive a little deeper into the classic Hollywood theme that I've started for this Vlogoween with a little drama, Dustin Daily style. And yes, the fan is a hint. So today, we're going to be talking about Vampira's Curse. So without further delay, let's get started. For those of you that don't know the key players in the Vampira Curse story, which I'm assuming you don't know if you're watching this, because if you know, why would you watch a video about it unless you just really like it? I'm going into this assuming that none of you know anything about the Vampira Curse, so the key players are Nyla Nurmi, who is Vampira, and James Dean. But this story is a little bit less about James Dean and a little bit more about Vampira and the Vampira Curse. So first key bit of information that you should know that you may or may not know already. James Dean was very morbid. He had a morbid sense of humor, and I believe it was 6 months prior to his death, he actually posed for these photos. Gorgeous as they may be, they're very morbid when you think about how quickly after this, he would meet his end. Super creepy. But I've always loved these photos. They're gorgeous. He's so relaxed, and they're just an unusual photo set to see, especially back in the 50s. Like, yes, there was the macabre parts of classic Hollywood, but really nothing quite like this. James Dean was always a breed of his own, and that's another thing that really just captivates me about him. But anywho, these photos are just a glimpse into the dark sensibilities that he had. So because he had such a gothic, unique sense of humor, of course he was very close friends with a gothic queen herself, Vampira. In actual accounts from Vampira, we get stories about her and James Dean and her in the past, and yes, she dated Brando, and there's many rumors that James Dean was obsessed with Brando. So there's just a little ball of connection there that really draws you in to want to know more about the story, more about their lives. But the one thing she often talked about was her friendship with Jimmy. They both had that spooky demeanor, that spooky brain. So, and here's where our story takes a turn. So we know it definitely came as a shock to her when she heard his response to a question. During an interview, James Dean was asked if him and Vampira were an item, and his response really shook her, and not in a good way. His response was something to the effect of, "I don't date cartoon characters." And while knowing James Dean from other interviews and how much shock value he reached for, I mean, there was that one interview, side note, where James Dean was asked, "Are you a homosexual?" And he said, "No, I am not a homosexual, but I'm not going to live life with one hand tied behind my back." And that sent the media into a frenzy. So he was all about shock value when it came to interviews. But this shock value shocked the wrong person. It shocked his friend. It shocked someone who thought that she was close to him. No, she didn't think they were dating. They both admitted multiple times that they were not an item, but she thought they were close. She thought they were like best friends. And then for him to call her a cartoon character, that it hurt her. And of course it hurt her. She didn't expect that to be something so publicly displayed. And of course it made big news because everyone thought they were hanging out together and really close, and then all of a sudden, "I don't date cartoons." So, a little offended and a little bitter, she sent him a postcard. The postcard got into the hands of the media after James Dean died, and rumors started to spread. But the postcard that she sent him was a little too on the nose, this is the postcard that Vampira sent James Dean. It's a photograph of herself sitting in front of an open grave with the inscription, "Darling, come join me." And she's got that shoulders back, nose up in the air attitude, all around kind of bitter attitude in the photograph. Not long after that postcard was sent, James Dean had his crash. But it didn't stop there, because at a party, a costume party, less than a month after her friend died in a car crash. So James Dean died September 30th. Less than a month later, into October, Vampira is showing up at a Halloween party. And she's not alone. Vampira is dressed as a witch, because James Dean didn't date cartoon witches. But it was who she was with that shocked everyone. She was with someone, we don't know who the someone was, but someone dressed as James Dean, wrapped in bandages, complete with the glasses and the clothing. There she is, just propped up, dressed like a cartoon witch. A little spiteful. Added a little bit more spice to the rumors. And the rumors being that she actually is a witch and she's responsible for the death of James Dean. The rumor was that Vampira cursed James Dean with that postcard because he called her a cartoon witch. And then the Halloween party really sealed the deal on that one. After all this happened, Hollywood didn't really have a spot for the spooky witch anymore. For a while, she was living on $13 a month, which in today's money would be about $150. So $150 for 1 month. So it was probably a really difficult time for her. She did eventually get a bit of a revamp and was asked to be in a movie again as Vampira. It was an alien spacey movie, and as corny as those things are, she did get to play Vampira again. And if you watch Planet 9 from Outer Space, which is the alien-y film that Vampira got to play in, she's a bit of like a zombie in that one, and it was directed by none other than Ed Wood. Though the Vampira character and Mila Nurmi never really fully recovered from the Vampira Curse, she did go on to live a life. She opened a boutique. She did odds and ends jobs, including like some work with flooring, I believe, just like normal things. And she always had that legacy of Vampira, and she was always willing to tell her stories. So all in all, it's just an overall tragic tale of a friendship gone wrong and devastating results. She went from the campy young actress that showed up to a Halloween party dressed as Morticia Addams and then altered the outfit to be Vampira, to showing up to a Halloween party dressed like a cartoon witch with a likeness of her dead best friend, and then all the things that followed. I've been in talks with my best friend Jason about us eventually going to Hollywood to see the James Dean and Vampira locations. Of course, when and if we do go, I will take you ghosts along and revisit this video in a vloggable journey. I know this is a little bit of a deviation from my normal Vlogoween video, but I thought I would break up the monotony of makeup video after makeup video with a little story time. And since this year's subject is a classic Hollywood, classic monsters sort of vibe, I felt like this was the perfect time to incorporate this story specifically. So for the comments down below, tell me your thoughts on this story, and if you don't talk to me about that, just talk to me about something, because I love for you to talk to me down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you come around again soon. Say bye. Bye!